Welcome to Three Body Problems, where your two astronomer hosts wrangle a third astronomer somewhere in the world to talk about all things space.
Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Silverman in San Francisco, California, and I'm with Rachel Livermore in Melbourne, Australia. And our guest today is Summer Ash, the Director of Outreach at Columbia University and a freelance science journalist. So, where are you right now, Summer, and what are you drinking?
I am in upstate New York, so I'm about 2 hours north of New York City, and I drink this in the city too, but so I like some bourbon.
Very nice. Well, it's lunchtime tomorrow here, so I'm afraid I'm on the tea.
And it's 5 o'clock in San Francisco, so I've got a nice local beer, Lagunitas IPA.
So we wanted to talk to Summer about some cool stuff that's going on with extrasolar planets, either planets orbiting any star other than our sun. And in particular, there's a big movie coming out this month that you may have heard the name of. So we want to talk about how planets in our actual galaxy might be similar or not to those in the fictional Star Wars universe.
In a galaxy far, far away, perhaps.
So the main thing everyone wants to know is aliens, right? How likely is it that we found habitable planets already?
I think we've got some likely candidates. You can use the transit method to actually see the light of the star coming through an atmosphere on an exoplanet. And if that exoplanet then has certain properties in that atmosphere that are Earth-like, well, you can see those in the spectrum. But our resolution right now is still not quite good enough. But hopefully the idea will be that we can see there's water in that atmosphere, there's ozone in the atmosphere, there's methane in the atmosphere, or there's tracers that we know only go with the presence of carbon-based life, which is really all we know how to look for because that's what we are.
So, okay, Earth is boring. There might be another Earth out there. That's fine. How about some more interesting planets? Perhaps ones from this galaxy far, far away. Have we seen anything that looks like those? What have we found so far?
So I was just checking on them, and we found at least six different systems, I think six or seven, that are Tatooine type systems. So it's a binary star system with a planet going around those two stars. So they call it circumbinary. But we've also actually just found a couple of years ago a binary system with a planet going around only one of the stars, but in a seemingly stable orbit, which I think is really cool. But I would love to see a Tatooine sunset any day. So one of the ones is the Kepler planet, and so it's Kepler 16b. This is what Luke sees, and this is sort of an artist's rendition of that little black dot would be the planet, and the red star and then the giant yellow star are these two binary stars for this system. So it's Kepler 16b, and even though the planet is probably a gaseous, it's still cool that this kind of a system exists.
So one thing that really interests me is what would it actually be like to live on a planet that's orbiting two stars?
I don't know if you get probably more intense sunsets or less intense ones, or what if they were on they probably go in and out of phase or some sort of thing where you would have maybe two at sunset and sunrise and then maybe opposites. I wonder if it would just be kind of a different thing almost every year.
That'd be pretty cool. So there was a paper on the archive a couple of years ago positing that the planet in Game of Thrones might have two suns, and that would explain its wackadoo seasons. I actually think that's wrong for reasons we don't have to get into right now. But I imagine you could have really weird seasons, right? If the orbit is not circular like the Earth's is, almost.
But what about also the one that I said we discovered one where it was only orbiting one of the stars? But then that's other one. I bet you could get some wacky climates that way.
One fandom at a time, I think, should be a rule on the show.
Fine.
So you mentioned this a little bit earlier, kind of trying to figure out the atmospheres of these planets. Where do you see this research going in the future? Are we going to look for more Star Wars type planets?
One really cool thing that's going on at Columbia is our we have a group run by David Kipping, and he and one of his graduate students, Alex Tichy, had a Hubble proposal in, and they got the observations from a couple weeks ago, and they are looking for an exo-moon.
That's pretty cool. So, if we have a planet that isn't itself habitable, what is the likelihood that it might have a moon that is habitable, maybe full of Ewoks?
So I think you could easily have a giant gas giant that's not habitable that has moons because, and maybe are habitable because you can have tidal forces. So instead of actually getting heat from a star, like Earth is the right distance from our star to have liquid water, some of Jupiter's moons, the reason we think that multiple moons of Jupiter might have subsurface oceans is because even though it's cold enough, too cold on the surface for liquid water to exist, Jupiter has tidal forces, so it's squeezing the planets and it's stretching them alternately. So the inside is having frictional heat and is melting the water. I do like this theory that I came across while researching the talk that I gave on this about whether or not the analog or the actual Dagobah planet is supposed to be Earth. Because even though it's a galaxy far, far away, you could argue that it's far, far away in time, maybe, and not necessarily far, far away.
It's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So that seems pretty stable.
Well, a long time ago, our current galaxy was far, far away from its current position because of the expansion of the universe. Depends on what your reference frame is.
It could be Andromeda. Anyway, just the fact that if you watch the films, like looks like they're Earth type species, like lizards, Komodo dragons, hanging out, and swamps and forests, and it's one of the purest places in the universe. So despite current events, I do think we could say Earth is pure based on our lovely water and our clouds and our protective atmosphere and our gorgeous green forests. And so, if Dagobah has all the force, we should use the force to protect our Dagobah, I think.
I just want to go hang out with Yoda or the ghost of Yoda, so that sounds good to me.
I kind of want to do the handstand thing that Luke does.
Some yoga pose, yeah.
I haven't gotten that advanced yet, but if you'll help me with that, I'd be pretty psyched. Tracy, you guys, thank you for having me.
Thanks again, Summer, for chatting with us about exoplanets and Star Wars, and may the Force be with you. We'll be back next time with another astronomer from somewhere in the world here on Three Body Problems.